We got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
They shouldn't have given you ashy blokes YouTube.
Cursed be the ground, for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
All right, good people, and here I am, punching the clock. Okay, so here we go. Okay, this is something I was gonna do Monday, and here it is Thursday. So I'm just now getting to it. It's interesting because um what I saw Psychax doing something about what women really want and fear of missing out, and I saw a skit by some guy. It's got to be 10, 15 years ago, okay, about women wanting the same thing in a different light. So we're gonna talk about that, man. What do women really want, especially modern women, and why they delay marriage so long, and why they're not even getting married for the most part, are not staying married. Um, One of my latest guilty pleasures is I gotta break the habit because I'm hooked on it. Is cheating stories, and they're mostly white male cheating stories. But what it comes down to, the female antagonist that cheats, she suffers from FOMO, fear of missing out, and that is really the baseline, and which has a lot of. I may do this as a standalone. Um, because what most psychiatrists said, most divorce lawyers said, the reason that women get divorced nowadays is not because of abuse or anything like that. It's because of boredom. It's absolute boredom. They think the life is going to be better or greener on the other side. Okay. Anyway, let's get busy. Free Agent Triple OG is first. Adric is number 2. Ricky, number 3. There's my Toya with my apple and my heart and my little chocolate heart. What's going on, Shannon Moore? What's happening? What's going on, into media? Al, what's going on? I still get compliments on on the intros, Al. Ty, what's going on? Captain Obvious, what's happening? Martin Muhammad, what's happening? Corey, Ilias, Eddie, what's happening? LAXT, what's going on? Trail, what's happening? Let's see what's going on. Horowitz, Brooklands, what's going on? Luther, Xander, what's going on? Pan the Man, what's happening? Independent POV, what's going on? Isa, what's going on? Uh, Fee Vama, first sin. Okay. Okay. Nice to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you before. Don Calypso, Michael Ross, Indigo Flow, Bruce Owen Wayne, what's going on? K Passe, Pan the Man, what's going on? Marchand, Most Fit, Harvest 2. There's Wu Man Charles. When did women believe in marriage? When marriage was necessary, okay? When they need marriage for survival, that's when they believed in marriage. Dub Will, Dayron, what's going on? Willie R, what's going on? Pedantic Foot, Quentin. Hey, Big Trick, what's happening? Ray, Excalibur, LAPD SWAT, Lydell, appreciate you. Red Falls Black, Seaside Blue 1. Keep it short, DC false flag. I stand on it. Okay, you talk about the Israeli thing. Could be. Wouldn't be the first time. King Diamond, what's going on? TD Hutch. Lamont Sanders, what's going on? Money Motion. Mr. Donnie Mack, what's happening? And that's it. Let's go ahead and get the party started. Okay, this you guys should enjoy this one. Um, let me start with the first thing. Okay, this is start with the first one. This will be with one of the women that came off my channel. I said my grandfather used to say, boredom is a luxury, meaning people don't have enough work to do. Always work to do. The privilege of boredom. Yep. Well, that is a privilege now because 100% right. Okay, when you needed that man and that woman to survive, okay, you didn't have the boredom was not a luxury. Okay, that tells you where we are today. So let's start with this one, and this is my girl. Okay, Crimson Cure. Okay, she got a little fish grease. She's getting ready to cook about FOMO, okay? And black women.
Black women who are married understand that.
Let me know if you guys can see this before I continue. If you can put a 1 in if you can see this before I continue. Dr. Els, what's going on? Okay, you guys can see it. Cool. All right. She's cooking on this one, and she's talking about this, right? So this goes into right what we're getting ready to say.
It is vitally important that black women who are married understand that fear of missing out, you need to get rid of that. Get rid of it. It is a destruction to you, to that marriage, to them kids. Because ain't no way you trying to figure out who you are. You needed to have found that out well before now.
That goes right. That's going to go right in to what we're getting ready to say. Okay, it's going to go right in. Okay, you should know. Basically, you should have been trained by your mother. Okay, and that's the problem. You should have been trained by your mother to know who you are as far as a wife is concerned. Okay, that wasn't done. That wasn't done. Now, this one is basically, okay, this one is some more, okay. I forget when the joke was told. I think it was right during the Kings of Comedy, right after the I think it was Queens of Comedy, and it should be like 2010 or so, maybe even earlier than that, okay, when I first saw it. When I first saw it, it said women can be dumb. They can't think far past whatever emotions they feel in the moment. That's why women don't use logic. They use emotion, okay? That's how come they're easily swayed. Women copy each other, okay? That's the problem. Women copy each other. Okay, this is some more. So this is her giving the joke about the amusement park, right? And even though it's an amusement park joke, okay, she explains exactly about black women's fear of missing out, okay? And this is what you hear all the time because this is what they would black women preach to their little girls about going to college and getting their careers and stuff like that. The exact same thing, okay? Have all your fun, right?
I'm not gonna have any children unless I'm married. I'm for real. Fuck that. A bitch might dress like a but I need help. I ain't no strong motherfucker when it comes to being strong like that. Because y'all women kill me when y'all be too motherfucking strong. Y'all be walking around saying, I don't need a man for shit. I pay my own bills. I pay my own.
See how long this has been around? Okay. Shay Sharday is going at Sabby Saps talking about the exact same crap that we've been hearing. It's not new. Okay. This has been going on since W. Du Bois in the 1800s. So this sentiment about being strong and paying your bills, not being able to depend on a black man, this is a long-held belief, okay?
I don't need a man for shit. But as soon as a man fuck you real good, you give him a key to all your shit. I know you. Fuck that. I need help from the gate. see the reality of marriage. See, marriage to me is a lot different than other people see it. See, marriage to me is a lot like going to an amusement park. You know how you go?
Why are you guys commenting on who's funny, who's not, instead of listening to what she's getting ready to say? What is it? You guys like stray cats? You guys wander all over the place, okay? What is this? What is? Well, I don't think black female comedians are funny. She don't have to be funny. Listen to what she's saying, okay?
Fuck that. I need help from the gate. I'm for real, and I see the reality of marriage. See, marriage to me is a lot different than other people see it. See, marriage to me is a lot like going to an amusement park. You know how you go to an amusement park and you get inside and you're riding all the rides, just having yourself a real good time.
You notice when women are single and they're dating and they saying they're out dating and stuff like that and having a good time, that's what they mean, okay? This is exactly what they mean. So when they meet somebody, say we're having a good time, that's what they mean. They mean I'm with men that are entertaining to me, okay? I'm with a man that's entertaining me, because when they're out there by themselves, they're not having a good time, okay? When they're with a man that's entertaining to them and they're having sex with him, that's what they mean about having a good time.
Just riding all the rides. Then all of a sudden you start walking around and you start seeing all these big, pretty, fluffy-ass animals that you could win. So now you decide that you got to have your one. So now you play all the games that you have to play in order for you to get your one. Then you spend up all the money that you have to spend up in order for you to win your one. Finally, you got your one. Now you're walking around the fairground with this big, pretty motherfucker.
Why do I get so triggered when the fella's expressing a common sentiment? Okay. The thing is that if I let it go in the comment section, okay, you're gonna miss the point of what she's saying. I'm not playing this because she's funny. I'm playing this because she's making a point that I want you to see. That's why. That's why I get so upset. Okay, I want you guys to focus. Otherwise, I could just do reaction. I don't need to do this. I want you to focus on. I'm trying to make a point. I put this stuff together so I can make a point. Okay, not that you can randomly just enjoy yourself. It's supposed to be enjoyable, supposed to be entertaining. I'm trying to make a point. Does that make sense to you? It's like somebody being in class and you're trying to do math and they talking about the numbers look funny when you draw them. And you're trying to explain algebra. Does that make sense to you? Lord Smith, I want you to answer. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Okay? Does that make sense to you? Anyway, go back to what I'm saying. I didn't put up here because you judge her by the comedic skill, okay?
So now you decide that you got to have your one. So now you play.
She play all the games and do because you decide that you got to have one, right? Well, listen what she's getting ready to say.
Play all the games that you have to play in order for you to get your one. Then you spend up all the money that you have to spend up in order for you to win your one. Finally, you got your one. Now you're walking around the fairground with this big, pretty motherfucker, and everybody see you. But after a while, you realize that you can't ride no more rides.
So, okay, Lord Smith, the reason I don't ignore it is because they'll express their point and they'll derail the whole chat. That's why. I wanted you to see my point. So basically, you trying to chastise me for saying it, okay? That's why I'm speaking on it, okay? I've been doing this shit for 11 years, and I know how this shit goes. Do you?
Because you got this big bitch with you.
So in other words, what she's saying here, okay, is that once you get married, that's why she says she sees marriage as an amusement park, right? Once you get out there and you're dating and you're riding all the rides, you're having all this good, having a real good time, okay? And you decide that you want to get married and have one for yourself. So you play all the games, you spend all the money, and you win this big fluffy animal, which is the man of your choice, right? And now you got to carry him with you because guess what? Okay? Guess what? Okay?
Got you one. Now you're walking around the fairground with this big pretty motherfucker and everybody see you. But after a while, you realize that you can't ride no more rides because you got this big bitch with you.
In other words, you can't be out there and be single. Okay? You can't be out there and be single no more. You can't go out there and have your fun and do all the other stuff that you used to do, right? Because now you're in a committed relationship.
See, I just want to ride all night long. I'm not going to...
So that's why I'm playing it, because it reminded me. But she crystallizes exactly what women and black women are talking about, okay? As far as getting married later, getting their career, dating, having a good time. Why? Because they see marriage as a commitment, as locking down. That means it shuts off something that you can no longer do. Okay, that's FOMO, fear of missing out. In other words, all the stuff that everybody else is doing that's not married. Okay, I can't do that no more. She can't get back on the rides with the big fluffy animal. In other words, she got a husband. I have ADHD. I get the point. You damn Nicodemuses. This is what I'm saying is, basically you're trying to make a point and people talking about other stuff. Okay, in your chat. And if you don't like the way I do things, man, I don't make you come here, okay? Lord Lesmith, if you don't like the way I do things, okay, the way I do, because I could turn off the chat. I mean, you guys pick something that's so innocuous to talk about. That's why I'm saying before it gets started, because I know once it gets started, it'll start a whole stream, a whole thread, and nobody will listen to the point that you're trying to make. That's why I'm trying to get you to focus. Okay? So because it's going to go right into what I'm going to do with the psychacs. Okay? Because there's so many videos that talk about this. This goes into why marriages break down. Okay, this goes into why marriages break down. This goes into why marriages break down. Why marriages break down because of boredom. Now maybe the stuff that the examples I use are too distracting. I shouldn't even use them. Okay. Because it's going to take you guys into another realm. You guys are going to talk about a completely different subject. Maybe I shouldn't use them. Anyway, the reason that I'd use those two first is because to actually lead into what he's getting ready to talk about, okay? Now, marriages break down is, okay, you got to understand what a marriage is first, okay? You got to understand what a marriage is first and how you're trained to be in a marriage. Because the average marriage lasts 8 years and average black marriage lasts 5, okay? Your kids, your marriage, which is to raise children, are with you till you're 18, okay? So the average marriage should last at least 20 years, but it doesn't. Why is that? Why is that, Jack? Why is that, Jack?
This is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is what women want. Welcome to the age-old problem. Men have been seeking an answer to this question for millennia. Even Sigmund Freud confessed that this remained an enigma for which he had no solution. However, at the risk of hubris, I will have to respectfully disagree with the good doctor. And I'm going to put forth in this very video my answer to this question. I'll begin by answering the question more generally in the sense of an explanation that holds true over time, and close by answering the question more specifically, in the sense of what women today want in the modern social milieu. Let's get to it. The simplest way to explain what women want in general terms is this. Women want what other women want.
Yes.
There it is. Women want what other...
Women follow each other, okay? Women learn from each other, okay? How to date, how to dress, how to marry, all that kind of stuff. You notice with black women, how they dress is not dependent on what you want, okay? It's dependent on what women think is the standard.
Women want. It's true, but kind of unsatisfying, especially because we very quickly run into a chicken and the egg type of problem. Namely, if women want what other women want, how do those other women decide what they want? In response to this, we might have to consider female desire to be a kind of emergent phenomenon that is normatively rooted in a certain time and place. Consider women's fashion. Yes, the designers in Milan and New York already know what they're going to be pushing for the spring lineup 2 years from now. They're attempting to influence taste, but they cannot dictate it. Despite their best efforts, the particular look that will go viral in any given season is still anyone's guess. It just kind of emerges out of the profusion of individual choices at the population level. And once that look gets established, because it's adopted by a critical mass of women, it becomes the standard against which individuals are compared, for as long as it remains the norm. And this is how, in a given time and place, a sizable majority of women always seem to kind of look the same, despite the fact that their fashions are constant.
You can get your women from the continent. That does help, okay? But the thing is, what we're seeing with the Nigerian women coming from the continent and them sicking the police on their husbands, it started to influence them. So where it used to be a slam dunk, it's not a slam dunk anymore.
Constantly changing.
What they're saying is don't bring her back.
Make sense? A lot of female culture is normative, despite the fact that those norms are always changing. It's kind of like a flocking instinct. And there may be plausible explanations for this phenomenon. Consider the distribution of most traits across gender. While most men and women's distributions are more alike than not, there is a consistent effect that we tend to observe at the population level. That is, irrespective of the trait measured, women's distributions tend to be more peaked, more congregated toward the mean.
Yeah, true.
Whereas men's distributions tend to be flatter.
It goes with it looks and IQ and everything else, right? Men's looks, intelligence and ideas and opinions are spread out a little further. They have a flatter curve,
creating longer tails in either direction. This means that, relatively speaking, a greater proportion of women tend to be average.
Yes.
Whereas a greater proportion of men are more likely to be either abject failures or rampant successes.
Yes.
On some level, nature has chosen males to be the sex on which it experiments. It takes bigger risks with males, and sometimes those risks pay off, and a lot of times they don't. However, risk-taking is an aspect of successful reproductive fitness in males in a way it just isn't with females. As I've said before, the biggest risk you can take as a man is not taking a risk. If you don't do something to stand out in some way as a man, then life will pass you by. You will be unnoticed by your fellow man, and you will be ignored by women.
That is true.
The average man is invisible to others. This isn't true for women. Most average women can be reasonably assured of being selected by someone. This someone might not be the man they prefer, but most women do not end up alone due to a lack of interest, which can't be the same. It can't be said the same for men. So if the successful outcome is more or less assured, why would women, or females more generally, expose themselves to unnecessary risk? What would they have to gain? Evolutionary pressures have pushed women toward the center, which is generally the safest place to be. Just consider how differentially men and women value safety and security. It's well documented that men on the whole are much more comfortable with risk and uncertainty than women are. They kind of have to be.
If you look in school, women pick safe choices that have a mass movement to get their degrees in. They don't take risks. They don't have these eyeball degrees that men may have. Okay, back in the day, you wouldn't when Silicon Valley was getting started and the program was getting started, it was almost 0% female. Okay, because it's risky. It was an outlier, and only the men on the tails actually involved themselves in it. Now everybody's in it, right? Because it's established.
And it's this preference for safety and security that motivates women to keep a close watch on what other women are doing. Because what most other women are doing constitutes the fattest part of the distribution curve, irrespective of what that curve is measuring. And this is where the greatest safety and security resides. Like fish in a shoal, each individual is closely monitoring where the group is moving. Because if they guess wrong and the individual turns left when the shoal turns right, that little fish might find itself very vulnerable and very exposed. And this close intersex observation doesn't stop with fashion trends. Women are looking to other women for information on how to live their lives more generally. A critical mass of female behavior is an indication of where the fattest part of the curve might be, alignment with which will afford the greatest possibility of social safety. If you appreciate the insight, so that's the answer to the question of what women want on a very high level. And this explanation implies that to understand what women want more specifically, we would need to observe how a critical mass of women are behaving in any given time and place. Consider how we would answer that question a few generations ago. What did most women want? Well, what were most women doing? They weren't trying to be boss bitches or ladies who lunch. They wanted to be housewives. Mm-hmm. Like that was the career most women were aiming at.
Because that was the safest, okay? Most jobs were dirty and hard, and the best way to ensure that you can have a living or survive is to what? Get married, okay? Back then. But then when the environment changed, they changed, right?
70 years ago. Now, some people would argue that this historical behavior is conclusive evidence that it's in the best interests of all women to raise kids and take care of homes. And
Pan-African, please chill out for a second, okay? Listen to what he's saying, okay? I don't need counter narratives right now, okay? Listen to what he's saying. You want to disagree, wait till the end.
I don't necessarily see it that way. Obviously, women have been evolutionarily selected for traits that facilitate motherhood, traits like gentleness and nurturing, and they may experience satisfaction in expressing those traits in their individual lives. But we also can't ignore the fact that there has been a noticeable lack of optionality with respect to women's life choices for a very long time. When women historically have become mothers and housewives, I don't think we can simply conclude that they were expressing their biologically programmed preferences in vacua. Because when they looked to other women and saw their mothers and grandfathers and sisters and girlfriends all doing the same thing, that was a strong signal as to where the fattest part of the behavioral curve was located.
True.
And certainly, deviating from this norm carried great risks to women historically. My point here is that it's difficult to tease apart how much of this phenomenon is due to biology and how much of it is due to culture. Great. So let's fast forward to the present moment. If you're a woman looking out at other women, especially through the lens of social media, what are you going to see a critical mass of them doing? It's definitely not getting married and having kids, at least not exclusively. There is still a norm, but that norm has shifted, and it will continue to shift continuously. And what I'd like to argue is that what you see a critical mass of women doing today is everything. And that's what women want. Everything. Women today want to have all the experiences. They want to have a career and earn a master's degree and start a business and have a baby and get 1 million followers and visit all the countries and eat all the foods and get married and find themselves and take a yoga retreat and blow up the scene, et cetera, et cetera.
No, it's not just a black manosphere. This is something the feminists said back in the 90s. Okay, this is actually feminist talking points, right? About having it all, about lean in and all that kind of stuff. That is not black manosphere. Okay, that is white feminism,
et cetera. Women want to ride all the rides
at
Disneyland.
See, all the rides. That's why I played some more at the very beginning. Okay, that's why I played it. That's because that piece that he's talking about, that's where it came from. Okay, that's why I played it.
They're like completionist gamers. They don't necessarily want everything in the sense of material possessions, but in the sense that they want to have every emotional, relational, and social experience that other women anywhere seem to be having. And collectively, across the various highlight reels they consume on social media, they believe this can and should be possible for them. And this is an important clue. What really motivates the modern woman is FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to social media, it appears that other women are doing all of the things, which sends the cue that doing all of the things is the fattest part of the behavioral curve, which, as we've discussed, is where the safety is. And I think this is a big part of why so many women today are making themselves unnecessarily anxious and stressed and depressed. The vast majority of women cannot do all of the things, which basically sends a constant signal to them that they are drifting out of the...
They think they're failing because they can't do everything, right? Okay. And what they're doing is sacrificing, okay, what supposedly what they really want, okay, because they haven't identified it, okay, which is children and marriage, right? Because that's how can they wind up 40, 45, 50 years old without being married and not having kids and being Tracy Ellis Ross, saying that I should have gotten married in my 20s or I should have got my husband in college or blah, 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 right? Okay. Why? It's because of FOMO. Because because women, this modern society has built an amusement park for females. Okay, social media, all the dining, the airline trips, all that kind of stuff. It's basically a big social amusement park. So, like I said, they want to ride all the rides, as Moore said and as he said. Okay, they want to ride all the rides at Disneyland, which is why I played it. Okay, and so which is why I played Crimson Cure. Okay, you wanting everything, or you not knowing who you are, or you want to try to do everything, which you can't. Okay, you're going to destroy your family, you're going to destroy your marriage. Okay, which is why women don't want to get married and men don't want to marry them. Is because we know that you're not going to be happy within the marriage, because the regular routine that you need to have to raise kids and survive and keep a family going and build a family is boring to them. Okay, and they look on Instagram and they look on Twitter and stuff like that, and they see other chicks doing these highlight moments with these highlight reels. They want to do that stuff. Okay, so what he's saying is true. And wouldn't you say the actual percentage of black men who are marriage-minded and marriage material is about even? No, I wouldn't. I would not. Okay, in fact, I would say the opposite. Most women that want to get married, now Clarence Jr., you should know this shit because you're black, right? Even years ago, even amongst boomers, right? Most black women wanted that day. They could care less about the marriage. Okay, they wanted to be married as a status symbol. They want to be married to have their bridal shower and their wedding, to have their day. After that, the real work of being married, they didn't want that. Okay? That's why the average black marriage is only what? That's only 5 years. Okay? That's why black men are more married. Okay?
The shoal. Their emotions are responding to this perception of danger. However, this is not conscious in all but the most self-aware.
Let me ask you this question, Clarence, okay? Let me ask you this question. Have you looked at the numbers, okay? Because you're asking me something you should already know because you're in this field. You've heard of these arguments before. You looked at the numbers, okay? Why do black men who are 2 million less than black women, okay, have 2 million less people, individuals than black women? Why do black men have almost 1 million more marriages? Why do you think that is? Why is that? Why is that, Clarence? And riddle me that, Batman.
Individuals. FOMO, as a guiding principle, also helps to explain a lot of what would otherwise remain baffling about the decisions of modern women. If the goal is to do all of the things, then an essential question that must be considered in any decision, conscious or not, must be, will doing this prevent me from doing that?
That's what did some more say, okay? Get in that big fluffy animal that you did all the tricks and paid all the money to get, okay? And you got walking around the amusement park with that big pretty motherfucker, okay? Now you can't ride. Can't get on the ride with that animal, okay? You can't get around, you can't get on the single train or the single ride with your husband. You either in or you're out. So exactly what she said in like 45 seconds is exactly what he said. He's going into detail why that is, but saying is what he said is exactly what she said. That's why I played her. I ain't play her not to be funny, okay?
That is, if A prevents B, and I want...
Clarence, you are on the internet, man. Why don't you look it up, okay?
Both A and B, then if possible, I need to be able to secure B before A. They are...
Unless you're going to give me a $50 super chat and I can look it up for you. If not, look it up yourself.
Loath to choose any path that forecloses any other. This is a big part of why women tend to use their 20s, the decade when they are most likely to secure a long-term relationship on the most favorable terms, to advance their education and careers rather than start a family.
Yes.
Given that women's normalized sexual marketplace value tends...
It's exactly what he just said, right? Okay. That's exactly you guys have been in the manosphere long enough. Y'all, that's all you've heard, okay? Why do women delay marriage? Why did the average age of a woman getting married used to be 19 in 1970 is damn near 30 now. And basically for a black woman, I think the average age of them getting married is like 17, and now it's 31. Why is that? In 50 years, you basically added 10 years to the marriage, to the first average marriage. Okay, you've added what? You've added 12, 13 years. Okay, almost half, 50% to that marriage. You almost doubled it, right? Why is that?
To decrease over time as their youth, beauty, and fertility.
Okay, we'll do it after this. Okay. It's the black demographic shows it all the time. We'll look it up, okay? I can see he's not going to do it. Please look it up and get it out of the way, BGS. Okay. Let's finish this because we're almost done. Let's go ahead and speed it up just a tad, okay? I don't know why you're asking me this shit, man. We don't like each other. You don't like me, so why are you over here bothering me?
Fade. Men look at this behavior and shake their heads. It's almost like watching someone set fire to a pile of money. It's like, what a waste. However, from the perspective of modern women, this decision makes perfect sense. After all, it's what a critical mass of other women seem to be doing. What's more, starting a family young would very likely make it much more difficult to experience certain things, possibly permanently, which would obstruct the current prime directive to do all of the things. Like a young mother probably isn't going to Cancun with her girlfriends, or
Yes.
giving a TED talk on mindfulness,
Yes.
or eating gelato in Rome and sushi in Tokyo.
Which your white feminist talking points, because the black women don't do that shit. But see, white feminists have been talking about this shit since the 70s, okay?
Or getting celebrated as one of the 30 under 30. Female logic dictates that it's better to get those things before settling down for completionist purposes.
In other words, that's what men would do, because men don't have a clock on their biology. Women do, okay? Women have a time limit on their eggs, okay? Men don't.
Otherwise, FOMO. Now, you might argue that starting a family later in life, assuming she's able to do so, will also prevent certain experiences, like, say, watching her grandkids graduate from college or celebrating her golden wedding anniversary. And this is true. Choosing any path in life closes off others. This is inescapable. The way out of this is to realize that women don't actually want to do all of the things. They just want to do all of the things that a critical mass of other women have decided are worth doing. They conveniently ignore everything else. And this, like fashion, changes with time. In any case, there you have it. Women want what other women want. And today, what other women want is to do all of the things. They are motivated by FOMO, and in the service of that desire, they are incentivized to postpone foreclosure for as long as possible. Accept these principles, and the behavior of modern women becomes entirely comprehensible. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below.
In other words, basically, okay, the thing is, white men are saying what black men have been saying for quite some time, okay? Let's go to black demographics real quick, okay? Now, I've been showing this kind of stuff since 2013, okay? I don't even know why it is a question nowadays, because the shit's out there, okay? Okay, let's right up front. Shit's right up front, right on top, okay? Okay? Black marital status, okay? Married black women 27%, okay? Black men, what, 37% more, okay? Black men are less divorced, okay? The only difference is, okay, the difference is black men have a higher status of never married, okay? They have a higher status of never married, okay? Black women, even when they do get married, guess what? They don't stay married because the divorce is so much higher. It said, I'm not asking what percentage of black men are married, basically are marriage minded. How would you know that, okay? In other words, just like anything else, okay? If you run the experiment long enough, it's all going to come out, and it's all going to come out in stats. How do black men have 2 million less people and are more married? Why is that? Why is that? I ask you that question, okay? Obviously, black men have to be more a better marriage material because they can marry out more. Okay? How come black women can't marry out more, even though there's more of them? Why is that? Why is that? Black women's all the stats, marriage stats for black women are flipped upside down. Okay? Are flipped upside down. Okay? If that's the case, why do black women have the average earliest time to have a first child, okay? And have the latest marriage? Why is that? Okay? They value what? Motherhood over childhood, okay? Black women have always believed that the family is mother and children, not with a husband. Husband is optional. How come black women can't go overseas and get married if they're better marriage material? And black women are truly better marriage material. How come when they go to Africa, when they go to Latin America, when they go to Asia, they can't find husbands? And black men can. Hmm? Riddle me that. In fact, why don't you come up? Since you are a content creator, why don't you come up? Because I got to bounce in a minute. Everything everything that we see is upside down. Okay, for black women, everything we see is upside down. Okay, but I'm asking in comparison. What are you talking about? What does that mean? I'm simply asking. What is that? A loin? Black? You got to do better, man. You graduated, man. What is this? Rewrite that, man. In comparison to women. I'm simply asking that. Oh, I don't know what that means. You got to rewrite that. How many how many men are marriage minded? I think way more. I would say about 70% of black men are marriage minded. About 70% are marriage minded. That's what Kevin found out. About 70%. The thing is that uh, 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 the women that are around them are not wives. Let me ask you this: what percentage of black women, or women, or black women, period, are wives, or trained to be wives? Hmm? It all comes out in the wash, okay? The percentage of black, the thing is, as soon as they freed up, opened up the gates for black men to date, mate, and be married. Okay, black men have a higher percentage of being out. Okay, so black women are more likely to be married than white women until what? Until the 1980s, right? Okay, and guess what? Look at that curve. Okay. As soon as you gave black women a reason not to be married, they wouldn't want to be married no more. Okay, that's feminism. In fact, I'm gonna do a video on that called "Feminism was the black independence movement for black women." Okay, because as soon as that happened, guess what they started doing? They started separating from their men. You're up.
I'm not echoing, am I?
No,
Okay, good, good. But yeah, I wasn't saying like in comparison to women. Like I wasn't implying that women want to be married more than men. I was just asking like your opinion on like what percentage of men do you think?
want to be married?
And you said 70%?
Yeah. How come men in this particular environment are not as marriage minded as they used to be? What do you think it is?
It's a lot of different reasons.
No, I asked you, what do you think it is? If you got four or five, give me four or five. What do you think it is?
One reason would be just one reason would be women are different in a lot of different ways.
How
Some of
what,
them
like
negatively.
like what?
Like some of them, well, some of them are more promiscuous.
No,
A
that's
lot of
not
them
it.
are more.
What,
So a
what,
lot of them are more assertive and masculine in some
so
cases.
why does a man choose a wife?
Well, a lot of men choose them for different reasons.
Come on, man.
We
Come
talk
on.
about from
The basic reason, come on, when we old enough, the basic reason a man chooses a wife, why? To do what? Have kids and what? Make a what?
make a family.
Make a family, right? And most women, most of women, period, with increasingly number of white women are not trained to be that. Okay, so in other words, you get married to get a wife. Do you get married to get a partner?
No, I agree with you that there's a lot less women being trained to be wives, but then the
So
flip side would be how many men are being trained to be
see, they
husbands.
don't do you ask me why men don't want to get married, right? Don't even flip side, okay? Okay. In other words, what incentive do men have to choose in women that are not wives?
I wouldn't suggest you choose a woman that's not a wife. I would suggest you
Exactly.
find one who is a wife.
So the biggest reason that men are not married, okay, because I know this from my own experience, because I know personally 5,000 black women, okay, and almost equal number of black men. I know exactly what they say. Okay, most of these women are not wives. Why do you think passport bros is a big thing now?
Well, I mean, a lot of them they don't exactly look like they're going over there looking for a wife.
Yes, they are.
Look like they're having a good time.
They have a good time, but they could have a good time here. They can get a street hoe. Okay, why are they getting going over there? Because they get treated better by the women that are what trained to be wives.
I don't know if you could see
I
that woman you just came across.
Yes, you can.
Is
I live in a border state. Okay, I live in California. It's a border state. Why are most of the black guys dating and marrying the black guys dating and marrying Latinos here in California?
I guess they like Latinas in California.
It's because they're trained to be wives, and black women aren't.
Once again, I agree that there's a good amount of black women that are not trained to be wives. But
so you answered to answer your question about why black men are not getting married in this environment. You just answered your question. What's the next question?
That's not what I'm saying. It's in my opinion, it's roughly about the same amount in terms of black men and black women who are marriage minded that want to be married. It's about
bullshit. Okay, it always has been bullshit. Okay, black women never wanted to be married, especially the black men. That goes all the way back to the how much feminist literature do you read? Okay, how many educated females do you read? Okay, it's never been the case. Okay, black women have always seen the marriage, the ultimate marriage partner is to be a white man. It's not even in.
Wait. What percentage of black women do you think have that mindset?
I would say 80%.
80% of black women would prefer to be with a white man.
Would prefer to be a white man. You know what?
Wow.
You know what stats prove that?
What's that?
It's called all them dating sites that collect stats of who black women message on the low.
Okay, well, what did the stats say about that?
It's that 80% of black women prefer a white man if they could get him.
How do you get that from? So what you're saying is they're only messaging white men on the apps?
I'm not saying that they look at the percentage of who they message, because every time you do something, especially on a site, guess what? It gets recorded, right? Who the race of who you are and the race of who you message gets recorded.
Yeah.
So everything if you add up all the literature that's been around for 150 years, okay, on top of what your academics say, on top of what the investors and some of the black women say here on TikTok, along with the data that's been collected, it all says the same thing.
Are you factoring in that there are dating apps for like just black people or just people of color?
It doesn't matter. Okay. You went to school, right?
Yeah.
You went to school, right? You know how to take a survey, right? Okay. So if you say it's just black people or black people of color, guess what? If all the black men and black people of color and there's no white men, do women have a choice of choosing white men?
No.
Okay. So how do you run the experiment to see who they actually want to choose if they had a broad choice?
Because there's multiple.
I asked you a question. I didn't ask about. No, you're not answering the question. All right, listen. Then repeat my question. What did I say?
You were saying, how can you judge, their preference if it's only black people on the app?
What else? No. That was not my question. Okay. So if you open it up, okay, to a broad spectrum of people, okay, then you get a truer picture of who they would actually choose, right?
Well, you're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point. Basically, okay, if say you walk into a store, right? Okay, say you walk into a store, right? And they only say apples, okay? What are you gonna buy? You're gonna buy apples, right?
Yeah.
But if you walk into a fruit store where they got all the fruits out there, okay, and people can choose what they want, and then you can actually decide, figure out what people actually really want because they have the full choice.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, in the case of the all black dating app, the women are choosing to go to an Apple store. They have the choice between going to a store that has all fruits and just going to an Apple store, and they're choosing to just go to the Apple store.
So then, with that's the case, well, then if you do that by the numbers, how would you determine preference, right? By the number of black people that go to an all Apple store versus a store that sells everything, right? Have you run those numbers?
No.
But you're asking me. Okay, you haven't run the numbers, but you questioning mine.
I'll just say, like, you
no. Wait a minute. Wait. Hold up. You have not even looked at it, but things you're going by your own opinion. Okay, bring me something that actually means something. Okay. Because in 2025 I don't go by opinions no more. Give me something real that you have. Okay. If you want to question me, bring me something. What you got?
So wait. So hold on. You're telling me that you actually
No. Give me according to the data, okay? According to the data, that's what it says, okay? Go read the dating divide, okay?
So you're saying the data says
hold on, let me finish, goddammit, okay? Go read the dating divide. They said the exact same shit.
They said what?
The same shit. 80% of black women, if they had their drugs, would actually prefer white men. White men are the number one choice of all women.
The data says that 80% of black women would dating apps white men.
The book Dating Divide. You got to listen to me, Clarence, instead of listening to respond. Okay? Read the book, okay? They said they're all saying the exact same thing. Why do you think black women are not married to white men? What do you think that the reason is? It ain't because they prefer black men. Why do you think that is?
If they're not married to white men, it must be because they don't want to be.
No, it's because white men don't want to marry them, which is what the feminists have been saying for the past 80 years.
Oh, and why don't white men want to marry them?
Can a black woman give a white man a white baby?
No.
That's why.
Okay.
Black women have always have access to white men, but they not have always access to them marrying them because white men don't want to marry them. Okay.
So you're saying it's important for white men to reproduce white children?
If that's their preference.
You saying that's their preference?
That's their preference. It's obviously their preference because that's what they do.
Would you say that's black men's preference to reproduce black babies?
It probably is.
More so or less than white men?
Probably less so than white men, okay? Because black men don't have the same choice that white men have.
What choice don't we have?
We don't have the same choice. White men are the number one choice. White men can marry anybody if they want to. They're the number one choice, especially in the West.
This is interesting.
Okay. Go look it up. No. Go look it up, man. Because the thing is, you know what I don't like? Okay, if I'm teaching you, why are you arguing with me?
I'm not arguing with you.
You are arguing with me.
We're having a conversation.
No. You are arguing with me.
More questions than anything.
You're throwing out counter narratives that you don't have any backing for.
What narrative?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Oh, well, you don't think black men do you know? Of course they do. But the thing is, guess what? They don't have the same choice. Do black men have the same choice in marriage that white men do? What do you think?
You mean the same choice? You mean like the number of options?
No, the number of options, yes.
Why wouldn't we?
Oh, come on, man. Where do you live?
Oh wait, Where
do you live? Where do you live? Okay.
I've been listening to this space for a long time.
You should have learned. I didn't know. What I'm saying is they're becoming as far as sex is concerned. Yeah, men probably are the most desired around the world. Okay, yes. But the thing is, women don't get married just on desire, do they?
No.
What do they get married for?
Provision, protection,
Protection
resources,
and
status.
status
Yeah.
and power, right? Okay. Guess what? A black man cannot give a black woman.
I don't think it's nothing that a black man can't give a
Okay.
woman in general. What do you
No,
mean?
no. A guess. Give me a guess because you just rambling. Give me a guess.
What's something a black man can't give a
Can
black
can
woman?
can give a black woman? Yeah.
There's nothing he can't give her. What are you
Yeah.
talking?
Sure it is. Sure it is.
Please fill me in.
It's called he can't give her the status of a white woman, can he?
What's the status of a white woman exactly?
Okay, all right, man. All right,
I'm
man.
asking a question.
All right, man. All right, man. You because you being Clarence, I know you're not this dumb. Come
No,
and
I'm
follow me.
asking you, what, in your opinion, what's the white woman's status?
And if you don't know, then I'm not gonna take half an hour to explain it to you. If you've been in this space long enough, we've talked about it enough. Either you're not listening.
Are you saying
Okay.
she's like special?
No. All you got to do black women have the status of a white woman?
So I'm asking you, what status do
No,
white women?
no. I'm asking you in general. Okay, you've been in this country long enough. Do you think black women have the status of a white woman? Yes or no?
I don't think white women have it.
No. I'm asking you. Okay, it's not that hard a question. The thing is, you don't want to be wrong. That's all it is, man. I
No,
don't
I'm
have time for.
asking. That's
No,
all I'm
I don't have
asking.
time for. I don't have time for this, Clarence. You know, black women don't have the status of a white woman. You know that. They never have.
What? I guess I'm a little confused. I
You
don't know.
know, no, you're not confused, man. Stop it.
But that's why I was asking you, what status do white
No,
women have?
stop it. White status, the same status that a white man has. Okay, they're the number one choice. They rule over. They have the most power in the society. Do they not?
Well, I would say they have the most political power in the country. Yeah,
They
have the most numbers for sure.
If a black woman and a white woman goes into court, who's going to be favored?
Depends on the case.
No, it's
like if they got the same.
Oh, okay.
circumstance.
All right, man. All right. Okay.
You,
All right.
you mean like if they
all
had
right.
the same.
All right, man. Okay.
No, I'm asking.
All right, man. Okay, man. Basically, either you're clueless and you're truly clueless, and I don't have time to teach you. Okay, I don't have time to teach you.
I just caught something you just said.
I don't have time to.
I
don't have time to teach you. You should know this. Are you born? Are you an American? Are you FBA or ADOS?
Yeah.
What you live? I think you live in Baltimore, right?
Well, from Baltimore. I'm still
You're
in
from Baltimore.
Maryland.
You're still in Maryland, okay?
Yeah.
You know the difference between a white woman walking down the street and a black woman walking down the street. Do they have the same status? Do they have the same privilege?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Oh God! All right, man. All right. Who's this?
This is amazing. Hey, BGS, it's me.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes. Go ahead. What's up, man?
Yeah, I appreciate that 5 minutes because I know what you think of me. And what I will say is I'm here, first of all, to be cooperative. Emphasis on...
I know, but you got to get to the point, okay?
Okay. My point is, I believe that you're right in assessing that even if someone's not educated, even if someone doesn't have experience, there is an assumption to be made in this country that a black woman is not held to the same status on site, emphasis on lookism, as a white woman. That's just the way this country was cultivated.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with that in mind, are there nuances, variations, and circumstances that make people of opposite races escape that? And my question to you, humbly asking, do you believe there's a concept of being colorblind? Do you believe in that?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to get that confirmed.
No.
You don't believe
that
there's a such thing as being colorblind?
Impossible. Okay. Impossible. Globally, it's impossible. They complain about this all the way around the world. It's impossible.
I'm glad you said it. Okay.
Ask the Africans. They don't believe in colorblindness either. It's impossible.
Absolutely, because there's a thing called lookism.
No.
And the social construct has penetrated this word called lookism.
No, it's not a cultural construct. It's called. This has been with peoples. Okay, with peoples going all the way back a couple of million years, right? How do you determine people that are from your tribe by how they look, right?
Yeah.
Okay, had nothing to do with skin color. Okay, Africans in Africa can tell exactly what tribe you're from one by your body shape, your head shape, all kind of stuff. They can
Yeah.
tell who you're from. Okay, has nothing to do with
Lookism.
how do animals tell each other apart.
Well, okay, absent of animals. I'm talking about human
No, no,
beings.
no. With human beings or animals, how do any
I
species?
understand that.
You can't interrupt me, okay? You're
All
gonna be
right.
cooperative, okay? How do any species of animals tell each other apart? By what? By how they look, okay? That's just part of nature. It's not an ism, okay? It's built into you, okay? How do you tell the difference between a male and a female? By how they look. It's built into you, okay? Now we segment we segment people by classification, but the thing is that's how you tell by how people look. Okay, that's how human beings animals and human beings identify stuff by the appearance. That's why you have eyes. What food to eat, how to avoid danger, what colors to wear. All this kind of stuff is identified by visual patterns. It is what it is. Anyhow,
All right.
I mean, I don't know what to say. The
No,
thing is,
it's fine. It's fine.
the thing is, I'm tired of arguing about stuff that people should know about.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're a black man and you were raised by a black woman, and you think that black women and white women are equal? Come on now. I mean, you're a black woman. You know that's not true. I mean, Michelle Obama has gone on a whole rampage about the difference between a black woman and a white woman. Okay, and she's at the top of the list.
Okay.
There's no such thing as color blindness. Okay, even amongst the Chinese know that there's no such thing as color blindness. It is what it is. Okay,
That's true.
it has nothing to do with anything. Okay, the thing is we have racialized it. Okay, and we have divided a society with it. But the thing is everybody knows what it is. Okay, and the thing is our society's way to actually blend different groups of people in, okay, has been sidelined. Even hell, most black people nowadays don't want to be integrated. Okay, they want to be separate, which baffles me because you fought 100 years to be integrated, and then the last 20 or 30 not to be integrated, which baffles me.
Why does it baffle you?
You fought 150 years to be included in society, okay?
Right.
To have a right to
Right.
integrate into society. And now, the last 30 years, you're fighting not to be integrated into society.
It's a matter of wanting what is afforded to others with your own right to exclusivity. It's like other cultures have, quote unquote, the ability
Oh,
to
yeah.
exclude themselves from others, and that's what.
Yeah. And we
And so there's layers to this.
and
There's
how
layers.
and how many generations do we fight to not be excluded out of white spaces?
There's layers to
And
it.
there's always layers to it. I'm talking about a whole movement, okay? Because number one is it's not organic. Admixture is very normal. Most groups admix. Look at the Chinese over 6,000 years, but 98% Han. Okay, that's normal. That's normal in biology. Okay, if two separate groups of bacteria or actually meet up in a pond somewhere, okay, they're gonna fight till they and mix until they become one thing. It's normal. It's not unusual. If black people want to
It's
be
not
exclusive,
unusual.
it's not.
May I ask a question that
Yeah,
makes me sound?
and the last one question, and I got to get out of here. Okay.
I have a question that makes me sound ignorant. The
Okay.
FOMO. What's that an acronym for?
The fear of missing out. That's what the whole show has
Oh,
been
all
about.
right, all right, okay. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anyway, let me get out of here.
Peace.
All right. Peace. Uh, fighting exercise during society is insane. Yeah. Now, now I'm gonna ask you guys because I always get this shit, man. Do you think I was fair to Clarence? Because I know I'm gonna get this shit on the replay. I want you guys' opinion of it. Okay? You think I was fair? Do you think I took all of his questions into consideration and answered them? Because I'm gonna get this. Well, you too mean to Clarence, and you brushed him aside, and you disrespected him. All this. I know I'm gonna get that crap. Okay. So boomers gave up too much to be integrated. That's bullshit. We today see it was a mistake. The others kept their essence. Bullshit. No, they didn't. Look at the Chinese, the Japanese. Okay. The Asians and the Latinos are way more integrated than we are. What are you talking about? In other words, you saying that, prove it. We didn't give up too much, okay? Let me ask you this. Catacombs, okay? Let me ask you this, catacombs, okay? Do you want to go back to Jim Crow? Is that what you want to go back to? The link is there, okay? Isn't Asian still? No, they're not xenophobic. Asian women marry out at a 55% rate. They're not xenophobic. No, they're not. Asians marry out at a 55% rate. They are not xenophobic. Where you get that from? No, I had like, dude, you asked enough questions, okay? I gave your answers, okay? You had three more questions, okay? You didn't pay me enough to you got your time in, okay? Asians do worship Brad, okay? Well, Asians is not xenophobic, otherwise they would not send their Chinese kids to come here to go to school. They're not xenophobic. Charleston White want us back. I'm asking him, do you actually want to be back in Jim Crow? Because most of y'all think Jim Crow was a cakewalk, okay? Yeah, y'all really think back prior to the civil rights era, it was a cakewalk. It was actually all nice and good. No, it was not. Okay, you think white cops are bad now? Okay, the only difference between what went on prior to civil rights with the white cops is that when you got beat up or disappeared or killed by a white cop, nobody even knew about it. You just disappeared. Ask all those men and them boys that got found in them lakes and ponds and rivers, and their bodies are still buried down there. Okay, weighted down by stones and buried down there. Okay, do they want to go back to Jim Crow? Okay, my mother is 86. She grew up in Jim Crow. She don't want to go back. That's bullshit. And boomers weren't the only didn't give up nothing. Well, the reason that you can do the shit that you do now because boomers burnt down like 30 cities to get this shit done. Okay, your right to go to school, your right to get funds for your high school, the right to work in trades, the right for you to join a union and work. Okay, that kind of stuff. The right to have professions with white people. Where do you think that shit come from? The right for you to buy a fucking house and get a house loan. Boomers had to burn out a whole bunch of shit to get that. So say boomers gave up a lot. Okay, how much do you want to give up? If you don't want it, give all you got. If you really don't want, all you got to do is go to the white folks. Say we want our Jim Crow back. They'll do it. White folks will do it in a heartbeat. They have this fantasy black men are going to have freedom and power if white folks give us back Jim Crow laws. Really? There's two reasons that you got civil rights. Okay, As one as white folks did not want to obliterate you, because if it was up to white folks back then, you'd have been up in them smokestacks. Them bodies would have been burnt. Okay, much like the mustache man. Okay, okay. But thing is, he did it first, and white folks didn't like didn't like the look, so they said we're gonna do this the other way. The second thing is, guess what? Where you made the money for the country is on them farms, picking that cotton, picking those crops, right? Okay. They had machines to do it. So guess what? Now you don't have work. My mother told me that, okay? My mother grew up picking cotton. And I said, okay. I said, when did you guys move to the city? She said, when the cotton picking machine, the machines came in and did the work for us, okay? They have no more work for us. So in other words, now you have a whole population that you don't have any work for, okay? What do you do with them? You got to integrate them into your society, which is what they did. Being intellectually dishonest is a trait racist folk display on a regular basis. Sad to see black men do it. Go to get set up over, use the link, but I'll be on in a sec. I only have a limited amount of time because I got other shit to do. Okay. Now, if you want to come back, because I'm gonna have to go bounce because I got another thing I got to do in about 5 minutes. So if you're not up in 5 minutes, I got to go because I'm really over time. Now, and if you're going to come up here, you're going to have to come up with some facts, okay? Not with your opinion. That's what Clarence did. Clarence had no facts, okay? I'm in the pro-black community. I've been dealing with this shit for 40 years, and black people wanted independence. Number one, white folks ain't gonna give that shit to you, and I don't blame them. Okay, why should I allow a black country inside my country? It makes no sense. That's a recipe for disaster. Go look at Gaza. It's a recipe for disaster. To have a separate society inside your own society. It's a recipe for disaster. This is an integrated society. I don't care who says anything, right? You cannot live the way this society is set up and the mechanism is set up. You cannot live independently of without being reliant on the whole society. Okay. If black folks really wanted to move into a city like PG County, they can move to PG County. You got black counties. Okay. You have whole black towns like Atlanta. Anybody rushing down to Atlanta to have a whole black city, a whole black county, right? And even the folks that are in there move out to the white suburbs. Okay, because it's normal. We can put a black. No, you can't. Okay, you're gonna get a mulatto. I don't care if you mix two different species or two different groups. You're gonna get a mix. Okay, so the thing is, what do you identify as black? Because down in Brazil, their identification of what is black is not the same as ours. And the only reason that you can a man can put a black baby in a white woman is because of the one drop rule. Same reason that a white man can't have a white baby by a black woman. Okay, she's not gonna be she's not gonna be white. It's because of the one drop rule. It's called a classification. Anyhow. I don't know where you guys get this crap from, okay? I have no idea where you guys get this crap from. The thing is, I have to prove everything I say and back it up with facts, data, and statistics, right? You guys accept anything from anybody else just on strength, okay? That is my appointment. I got to go, folks. So I will holler at you guys later, okay? Do you think that it would you would be married to a black woman these times if you were 30? No. Okay. The reason I didn't get married when I was younger is because women were not really trained to be wives. Okay. Anyhow, let me get out of here.
What can I say? Mamba out.